Okay, here we go. Part 6.
How they find someone through a phone?
Yes, sir.
Is that ping? Is that how they find someone through a phone?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember about what time you and your other officers met up at SWAT?
It was around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Okay. And where was that location in Dallas?
It's at the Central Substation in downtown Dallas.
Was a plan given to you at that time about what your role in this operation would be?
Yes, it was.
And what was your role going to be in the other CRT officers?
We were the ones responsible for the perimeter around the area in which SWAT would be serving the warrant.
Okay. After you were given the plan, what happened then?
We followed SWAT to the location, which I believe was on Elsie Faye Hagen's.
Okay. Once you got there, what did you and who were you working with, partner that day?
I was working with Martin.
Okay. What did y'all do once you arrived at that scene?
We parked.
She said I was working with Martin. It probably would have been better had she said I was working with Officer so-and-so. When she says Martin, everybody, I believe that was her boyfriend. Maybe it wasn't. But to me, as a juror, if I don't remember the name, it sounds like, oh, that's your boyfriend. That's the guy you're sleeping with. You're working with him again. Even though you said a few minutes ago that y'all stopped seeing each other. Well, they may have stopped seeing each other, but they were still texting and doing all. It's just confusion. Again, as a juror, everybody's kind of looking at every word like, wonder if I can believe her. What's inconsistent about her testimony?
On the street, on perimeter, so we wouldn't allow traffic or any people to walk in front of the area in which SWAT was serving the warrant.
Okay. Is this where SWAT went charging in, or did they try to get the suspects to come out?
They tried to get the suspects called out through a microphone, so they wouldn't have to force entry into the place.
Okay. Now, are these the same suspects that you had been working on with your team?
Yes, sir.
And what did you know about these particular suspects?
That they were armed and very violent.
Okay.
Okay, this is pointing out that she works around violence. So again, we're repeating the same theme. She works around violence. She sees violence. She has trouble sleeping because of violence. She has to work out because of the things she sees. She has a very violent job, and she has homeless people, and she goes home. And for her to react that way if somebody in her house is totally reasonable, and any officer with the same experience and training her would have done the same thing. That's where we're going.
Even though when you say perimeter, how close were you to the actual house where SWAT is from?
It was about maybe 30 feet away. Wasn't that far.
Okay. Were you near the corner there?
The corner.
Okay. So are you and Officer Rivera and the other CRT members just kind of standing around?
Notice how the attorney said Officer Rivera and he didn't call him Martin?
Or is it a tense situation at that point in time?
It's a tense situation at that point.
Why is that?
Usually whenever SWAT, the person runs out of the house, we're the ones responsible for running after the suspects.
Okay. Did everything go pretty smoothly that day?
Yes, it did.
Did the suspects come out right away?
No, it took them an hour or more for them to come out.
Okay. Did SWAT have to use something to get the suspects out?
Yes, they had to use tear gas to get the suspects out.
Okay. Did the tear gas bother you in any way that day?
No, sir.
All right. Once they brought the suspects out, what happened next?
I wouldn't have asked if it bothered her because he already knows the answer that it didn't. Or I would think he knew the answer. I would ask, did you smell the tear gas? You did. Okay, so that's good. Then later I could argue that she had ingested chemical things which would make it reasonable that she was tired and it was a long day and it was a stressful day and she had been tear gassed, etc. Having her say it didn't affect her didn't really help him.
All of our CRT guys were responsible for transporting the suspects to headquarters.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
That's a shocker. How many cops out there know females that transport people after they're arrested? Okay, let's move on.
They didn't, the SWAT officers didn't charge him with the tear gas. How did that happen?
I believe, I'm not too familiar with how they do their procedures on tear gas, but I know they throw it in there.
Okay. All right. So y'all made it down to headquarters where they'd be interviewed?
Yes, sir.
And where's that headquarters?
That's located at Jack Evans off of Lamar Street.
Is that close to the South Side Flats?
Yes, sir.
Once y'all got at headquarters, what happened then?
We put all 3 of the robbery suspects inside a room and waited for them to be interviewed by our robbery detectives.
That takes some time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. At some point, did some of the officers on the team leave?
Yes, they did.
Who left?
My partner Martin did.
Do you remember about what time he left?
About 5:30-ish or 6.
Do you know where he was going?
Yes, I did.
Where was he going?
He was going to go to a Boy Scout meeting for his kids.
So now we're going to humanize the guy that was cheating on his wife with her to make it not look like she broke up the marriage. He's still taking his kid to Boy Scouts. That's why that was important. Rick, you're just being... I'm just telling you.
Any of the other members of the team leave off at some other time?
Yes, they did.
Who was that?
It was Bruce. He left.
Okay. Why did he leave?
He had to go to an extra job that night.
Okay. So, as you were waiting on the suspects to be interviewed, that's a little bit of downtime for you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did y'all eventually get something to eat that evening?
Yes, sir.
Where did you get something to eat?
One of the guys on the team and I, we walked down to Zalat Pizza. It was right near headquarters.
Did you bring that back for everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Man, I don't know about that. You got the only female officer on the team transporting the guys after they're arrested, and now you got them going to get food. What's up with Dallas PD? I digress. Let's get back to our testimony.
At some point in time then, did you, were you asked to transport those prisoners over to the Stera jail?
Yes, we were.
Okay. Now, we've seen in the evidence that after Martin Rivera left, close to 6 p.m., did he send you a text message?
Yes, he did.
Okay, that's the one I think where it says, what time can I come over?
Yes.
And then you responded to it, correctly?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you said you can come over, I forget what you used on there, but it was a sexual connotation, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
He didn't forget. He could have read it. He just didn't want to repeat the sexual connotation, which, I mean, I don't even know why we're bringing this up. Big deal. They texted each other. What does that have to do with what... The prosecution is trying to say, had she not been texted and not been cheating, she would have been paying attention to what floor she was on, and therefore it's her fault and it's reckless because she went in the wrong apartment because she was having an affair and texting this guy. To me, that's just absurd, but some people may buy it.
Is this the type of text y'all often sent to each other?
Yes, it was.
Was there ever a real plan for Martin Rivera to come over that night?
No, there was not.
Had he ever been over to the South Side Flat?
No, he has not ever been there.
So this is key because this kind of corroborates that they stopped seeing each other. She's been living there 57 days and he's never been to her apartment. Because the defense is like, or the prosecution's like, you texted him right after this and said you wanted him to come over. Isn't that true? You were more worried about your relationship. That's not why she texted him to come over. He had never been to the apartment. I don't know if that was made clear to the jury and pointed out, but that's a key point to me.
Did you even know if he knew you lived in the South Side?
I had no idea if he even knew I lived there.
But that's the type of banner y'all would send each other during the day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Later, when you were down at Blue Sterret, did he contact you again?
Yes, he did.
And what did he want to know? Or did he do that by text or phone call?
He did it. He texted me that night.
What did he want to know at that time?
He just wanted to know how everything was going.
Okay. Anything unusual about that?
No, sir.
So kind of what we're doing here is we're painting it's routine for you guys to text and to joke around about him coming over, but we both know he's not coming over. So when the prosecution says you were more worried about having sex with the married guy, most people are going to be like, look, she said they text. He ain't never been to her house. And again, hopefully in the closing arguments, the defense pointed all that out. you know, the prosecution said that she was worried about sex and that's why she went to the wrong apartment, when in fact, they were joking around. You heard her say that they did that anyway, and he had never even been to her apartment. Why would you think, just because the prosecution said he was coming over, that suddenly now he's coming over to her apartment?
And then what time did you leave Lucedale jail approximately?
It was about 8:40-ish, close to 9.
Okay. Around that time, I think the jury has seen that Martin Rivera sent you a photograph.
Yes, he did.
Was that a sexually suggested photograph?
Yes, it was.
And soon after, when you got to the Southeast substation, what did you do at that time?
All three of us, because there was 3 officers left, so we drove around to each of our cars to put our equipment up. And then I went to dock my body camera and filled out the paperwork for what we did for that night or day.
Okay. One of the texts that you sent Mark Rivera talked about you being sleepy.
Yes, I did.
I think it actually says sleepy.
Yes, sir.
Is that how you felt that day?
Yes, I was tired by the end.
Okay.
So that's good. If they're going to use the text against her, she put in a text that I was sleepy and I was tired, which again supports her confusion to park on the wrong floor. She's working long hours. She had a stressful day. She was dealing with violent people. Do you see the theme that we're trying to drive home? They're not making it as clear as I'm making it, but I'm trying to get you to understand kind of what they should be making it as clear as I am for the jury.
As you were walking to your vehicle, and what kind of car do you drive?
A white Dodge pickup.
Okay. As you were walking to your Dodge pickup, had there been some more communication with Mark Rivera via text?
Yes, there was.
What was that about?
We were just I believe it was just still what was going on with the day, but eventually called me.
Okay. And you sent him a photograph also, is that right?
Yes, I did.
And it said, I believe in the text, want to touch.
Yes, it did.
So he sent her a sexual picture, probably of his groin area. She sent him a sexual picture, maybe of her breast or crotch area. And this is what the prosecution is showing the defense to show that she's guilty of murder and she killed a guy. But we can't bring up that the suspect, or not suspect, the victim who got killed, we can't bring up he had marijuana, he was smoking marijuana, he had marijuana in his house, and maybe he left his door open because he was selling marijuana and he was expecting somebody to come over, and that's why he jumped up and charged her. We can't say any of that against him, but we can bring up her text to convict her of murder. This trial is a kangaroo court in that way, and that's why it may appear that I'm on her side and I'm trying to support her, when in fact, I'm against the system and the way it's being played out unfairly.
More of the stuff you would do on a daily basis with him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When he called you, what were you doing? What were you doing?
I was driving, I was leaving Southeast and driving home.
Okay. And that conversation lasted some time?
Yes, it did.
What did y'all talk about?
We talked about what happened throughout the day and what we did with the suspects. He wanted to know if they confessed to any of the robberies, and then I was asking him about what his Boy Scout meeting and everything went with his kids.
Did y'all often have these types of conversations?
Yes, sir.
Would you usually call him or would he call you?
He would call me.
And what generally would he be doing when he called?
Usually he would just be leaving the gym or a store.
He wouldn't call her around his wife. She couldn't call him because he was married. So he was initiating, he was in charge. They're trying to make it look like her. And for 2 cops that work together, that deal with stressful things, they've had a sexual relationship before, they have a lot of secrets on each other, they know a lot about each other, they trust each other, and they just banter and have this locker room behavior of talking about the day and relieving stress and just sharing things. I don't find this offensive. Maybe I'm the bad guy and I have no moral compass. To me, this isn't offensive.
Okay. And y'all just have casual conversations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you call him often?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I knew it was wrong, and I never knew where he was at, so he always called me.
He's married?
Yes.
All right. Did you, As you drove, while you were talking to Martin Rivera, did you go the same way you always do back to the South Side Flat?
Yes.
Anything unusual happened during that drive?
No, it did not.
Okay.
Again, we're painting routine. Everything was on autopilot. Everything is normal. Everything is reasonable.
As you got back to the Southside Flats, we've seen some photographs and video of your truck going in. Do you recall that's how you made entry?
Yes.
You didn't actually have to use a fob or card or anything like that?
No, I had a gate opener to get in,
But you were on the phone with Martin Rivera when you drove in?
yes, sir.
Tell the jury where you went in your truck.
I went up to the 3rd floor to park my truck.
Okay. You now know you weren't on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
But you believe you were.
I believed I was.
Okay, so now you're going to see her behavior where it was a little bit lighthearted. We're not talking about the incident of the night. Now you're going to see her facial and her tone and behavior change because she's reliving this critical mistake that may cost her life, that she killed somebody, and she knows she shouldn't have killed him. She's sorry. You can tell by the 911 call she was sorry. She said like 12 or 19 times, I thought it was my apartment on the 911 call. So there's no way they can prove intent, but you're just going to notice her behavior on the stand change the closer we get to talking about the actual incident, because it is such a horrible thing for her to recall. I'm not making her out to be a victim. I'm just simply saying this is a horrible mistake that she have to live with. She's already had huge repercussions. She's lost her livelihood. She's lost her job. She's now facing going to prison for the rest of her life. And they want to make this about a guy eating ice cream and she was having an affair. To me, I find that offensive.
Did you ever pull off anywhere to continue a conversation before you parked on what you believe is the 3rd floor?
No, I did not.
Was the parking lot pretty full?
Yes.
Is there any place to pull off besides into a parking space?
No, there is not.
And you drove up to what you believe was the 3rd floor?
Yes, I did.
And how'd you park?
I backed my truck in.
Okay. Was that your normal procedure, how you park?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Once you parked, did you get off the phone or did the conversation continue?
I stayed on the phone for a few minutes after I backed my truck in.
What did you feel when you parked? Where did you park at in the parking lot, on the 3rd floor?
I parked on there in front of the doorway that I always go in. I kept thinking I got so lucky to park somewhere close. I didn't have to carry all my equipment around or far.
Okay. So you concluded the phone call, and you have equipment that you carry in every day?
Yes, sir.
Do you take that equipment home, ever leave it at work, or is it something you have to bring home?
It's something I always bring home.
Okay, so this is basically her duty bag. We call it, in the military, we call it a war bag. You got your flak vest, your extra mags, your cold weather, whatever, sleep, whatever you want to put in it. Cops have a duty bag to where they have extra handcuffs, maybe an extra ticket book, maybe their baton, maybe some, flexi cuffs, a jacket, extra gloves, medical gloves for so basically we all have what's called a little duty bag. That's what she's talking about. I'm at 18 minutes. We're going to make a part, I think 6 here or 7.